Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M,
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Catastrophic. What's going on here?
It's trying to get the seat.
It's like at the barber chair, right? You're just trying to.
Yeah, I've been all over the place. Kind of like the last few games.
Catastrophic, demoralizing, devastating. And yes, I know you can still make the SEC championship game, but you were there, Jordan Hare, however they say it. Oh man, that was. I know that it is true. What an amazing comeback! I know that's true. It was amazing. You're down 21-0 on the road. You lose that game. Well, guess what? They lost the game. They made it interesting. They took the lead.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Again. But bad starts and, frankly, a bad finish.
Look, because it's not a comeback if you don't win. Now, you got back in the game, but and they rallied and, like I said, took the lead, but you still lost.
Yeah.
And there's got to become a point, and I think we're there. There are no moral victories. The programs always say that, but I think sometimes the fan base that I've been accustomed to was like, yeah, but look at what they were able to do. And it doesn't matter if you don't win. There's been too much at stake, too much possibilities to consistently come up short, and so much of it's because your own problems and.
Your own problems,
self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get to where you're not falling behind.
Yep.
What has happened to that defense? That's a question to ask Mike Elko today.
Yeah, because we talked about it pre-show. There was a stretch where this team did stop the best running back on the other side. Mm-hmm. That hasn't been the case recently.
Now, what changed? What changed? The pass rush is now pretty much paper mache. Unless it's somebody coming in late in garbage time, mm-hmm. or maybe you get a blitz or something. Nick Scorton has had. I'd have to go back and double check that. I think he's been credited with half a sack in the last 5 games combined. That's it. I don't think Shamar Stewart has gotten to the quarterback for in several games. Again, I have to go back and look, but. And that's supposed to be the strength of your team, and you're not getting productivity there. And the pass defense, you made Peyton Thorne look like Peyton Manning.
Peyton Thorne, the guy who threw for less than 50 yards last year, ran on you, threw on you, was flawless to start the game. And we'll get into the starts of the game earlier. This game also had a bunch of missed opportunities, OB.
Oh, yeah, tons.
I wrote a bunch of them down. You had an early interception.
Yeah,
right?
You were at first down at the 25, I believe,
right.
through an interception.
Missed field goal, which, by the way, I'm not mad at Randy Bond for missing. That's a hard field goal, but a missed field goal.
We can debate whether or not they should just punt it. It's easy in hindsight, but, man, you start counting on 50-plus field goals, and you are rolling the dice some.
Am I remembering my timing correctly? The shanked punt right before the half? 2
shanked punts.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
One you started at the 50. When you started at the Auburn 45, neither did you score on.
Yep. So you had that. Only getting 3 points after the pick.
That's an interception.
Yeah, and you were, at the 17, 16-yard line, something like that?
Something like that.
You were very close. A drop snap on 1st and 10, which I know is...
I think that's the play that cost you the game.
Yep. And then
or let me say, the final play or the pivotal play?
I think that one was huge. Mine was the 4th and 2.
Well, yeah, but my take is if you don't get behind the change at 2nd and 10, 4th and 2 never happens.
So here's
2nd and 17.
Here's the part that is the truth, OB, but it's hard to talk about even 36 hours after the loss. You're still in a situation where if you win, you're in. And that's the reality of having a really good start to your SEC play. That's why you get this benefit.
Yeah, look, the game ultimately did not matter. Now, I don't know if the players knew that while they were playing, but the game did not matter. Well, of course, they didn't know that Oklahoma had beaten Alabama, but after Ole Miss had lost to Florida and after Alabama had lost to Oklahoma, the game against Auburn had no bearing on anything. Yep. If you win, you'd feel better, but you still have to win in the against Texas to get into the SEC championship game, and you probably still had to win the SEC championship game to get into the playoff. Probably. If you lose, you're in the same situation, so it did not matter. What it matters, though, is, at least to me, is, you've got the biggest game of the year, maybe biggest game of the decade, maybe the biggest game of the series ever against Texas, maybe. And you're going to have to play really good football. So much is at stake. And I have no doubt in my mind that Texas A&M is going to play a good game, and it's going to be competitive. But what have you seen in the last couple of games that's going to make you say, yeah, but you know what? When the game is on the line and the play has to be made to win and close it out, what have you seen that says, yeah, they're going to be able to do that?
Well, let's go through the 3 things I wanted to see, and if you remember yours, because I don't know if we did what I wanted. Hope and fear, a performance that continues to give us hope that they figure it out, puts fear in the hearts of Texas fans.
I think you got some hope in the fact that you did, rally and got back in the game and had the lead.
But not the kind of hope I was asking for, though.
I don't think, and I'm trying to be objective and trying to think of this from if I was a Texas fan, I don't think I saw anything that made me fear.
Yep. Okay. Win the turnover margin? I think it was tied, right?
1-1, right?
1-1.
With an interception.
Yeah. Rush for 200 plus? No, it was less than that.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Like
Amari had 900. Had 90 and
167 as a team, and I believe they had a little bit more than A&M. 168, 169, roughly like that. Yep, 168. There we go. So that tells you. And then my bank on it, which I was actually correct on. I believe it was on bank on it. Noah Thomas 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, you were. Good
5
call.
catches, 120 plus yards.
Best game of his career.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
He was.
But I don't want to say all for naught, because again, and I apologize to Jackson because he asked me how excited I was for this game against Texas, and I was like, I'm excited, but not as excited. You know what? Bah phooey, whatever. Bah humbug. I don't know what to say.
It's close to Christmas.
Yeah,
it's 1 month from today, so humbug.
You know what? We got a chance to make the freaking SEC championship game by beating your rival. I am back to being excited. I did the 180. I'm back in. I'm back in the circle of trust.
Okay,
I was going to say that.
They draw me back in.
Yes.
Just when you think you're out.
But I would be a lot more excited. I'm yelling. I apologize for the yelling.
I think Monday is typically the day to celebrate or lament what happened in the previous game.
Yeah.
And then you start building up. And, okay, we've done the lamentation. Now it's time to start building up for what the next game means. Because look, I know that A&M and Texas in the past played games with championships on the line. I can think of the game that Texas won 28-27. I can't remember the year, 90, 91, something like that. And A&M, I think, went on to destroy BYU. And A&M, Texas went on to get destroyed in the Cotton Bowl by Miami.
Yep.
All right. So I know there have been games with much on the line. Even championships, because there's not a championship on the line. However, let's face it, you're in a much better conference, much more prestigious, much more at stake, and now there's a playoff, a college football playoff for the national championship. Like when A&M and Texas were playing before in big games, there were no real national championship implications because that was all coming down to votes.
Yeah, it was voting. It was voting. So look, I'm not going to be the party pooper, but I'm not happy. So that's okay. Like, I can be disappointed and also recognize it is an entire season, and there's going to be people, stop sunshine pumping. Look, I'm just telling you the facts. The facts are if A&M beats Texas, and we think they can.
Oh, I know they can.
Right? And if they play their best game, I think they will.
I think they can.
Right? The defensive line has to show up.
Well, I don't know what's happened to the defensive line. It's supposed to be. I even heard on Sirius Radio on the way in, and I think it was Danny Cannell, might have been the other guy, but
Dusty Dvorak.
And they were saying, hey, Quinn Ewers had to get an MRI on his ankle.
That doesn't matter to me anymore.
Yeah, but the point was, he said, and you don't want to be limping around against that A&M defensive front. I'm like, yeah, if it was that A&M defensive front from about a month ago or 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I don't know it's gone into the deep freeze.
But this season has proven this to me. Whatever the reports out say, take the opposite. Lenore Sellers gets sacked all the time. Doesn't get sacked at all. Peyton Thorne hurt right shoulder, throwing shoulder, can't throw. Throws for 300.
Doesn't throw well.
Right?
When he's healthy.
We can go through a laundry of lists. Michael Van Buren, promising guy. And I beat him, by the way. But over and over. Offensive line, Notre Dame, everybody's freshmen.
That's right.
They're 9 years old. They're playing elementary students on the offensive line, and A&M can't get sacks.
I've been saying it over and over.
Take the opposite.
Whatever the other team's issue have been, or where they look like they are vulnerable, for whatever reason, I can't put a finger on it, A&M consistently, not always, but consistently fails to exploit it.
And then remember, early in the season, what the reports were, some of them, A&M would do the opposite. Oh, this team can run the ball. Watch out. Jaquindon Jackson, he'll eat you alive. With that voice.
Yeah.
Didn't eat A&M alive.
Yeah, they played good run defense.
But just whatever the reports are, don't believe it. It's the opposite. Take the opposite and beat them another way. Opposite week here on Lone Star Rivalry Week, Lone Star Showdown.
I just think that, look, the players are going to hear some criticism. The players are going to be, they were frustrated and dejected after the game, and I think that's good. Mm-hmm. I will say this, and I've seen it so many times, and I've seen it go the other way too, but when you have a proud program that feels like, that knows they're good and they're proud and things are going against them, and they hear how bad they are, and they have to face the mistakes that they've been making and all the issues, very often, that's when they're dangerous.
Yep.
And they come back and, playing with, need it as a need for redemption.
Yep. Hey, and by the way, I'm going to give props. I didn't mean to cut you off, Obie. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
The offense, I'm going to give them a hug because you lose your best offensive player. You've had injuries on the offensive line. The offense, while they weren't great, was not the problem. Like, Amari Daniels, I know the last play, I know.
Yeah.
Ran the ball hard for this team, okay? Against a team that's good at stopping the run. Marcel Reed played a pretty darn good game.
Yeah, 2 plays.
Noah Thomas was fantastic.
It was.
You had some drops in the game, I know. Some costly drops, plural, more than one.
Yeah, Theo.
But my goodness, like they didn't lose this game because of the offense per se.
Well, we talk about the missed opportunities that were there, and if they had made one of those missed opportunities, it could. But yes, the offense made enough plays for you to win. I think I'm with you. I think the bigger issue is we all thought that this was going to be a maybe even elite defense, and there was a time it looked at it was, but even if you go back to the first half against LSU,
I got some thoughts on that.
It wasn't.
Yeah. By the way, we have gone 14 minutes, 53 seconds without telling the people the name of this show. They might think they're watching the Home Shopping Network. They are not, Obie.
Oh, they know they're yelling, but they do. They know they're watching TexAgs Live.
Yeah, it's TexAgs Live. That's presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
It is.
Yeah, thank you.
Is.
And this is the Rollo Insurance Studio.
It is.
Yeah.
That's where we are. No,
Yeah.
Rollo's.
This entire production, this hour,
It's a go hour.
and that's presented by some friends.
CC Creation.
Yeah, that's right. We are currently in an area that we call the Cool Zone.
The Cool Zone.
Brought to you by Holistic Planning.
Yes, where they do investment, taxes, and estate.
Yeah, and if you were interested in purchasing a pro sports
Interested
franchise
in a pro
or investing,
sports-
you're not
Yeah.
going to buy the whole thing, probably, right?
Right.
Maybe quarter, maybe half.
Yeah, these are guys that'll hook you up.
Investinprosports.com. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, let's do it. Like, we got some guests, but I think we should hear from you. 979-693-1150. The Little Sluggers text line is the number. You can text that, and you can call us also on the Boss Firearms Hotline, 979-693-1150. Around the room. We go behind the glass. Say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
I'm not going to dwell on this one too much just because, A&M does get that help from Oklahoma beating Alabama. So you're really, all that really changed Saturday was the path of the playoff got slimmer because, you just got to win 2 games and you're in, right? So everything's still on the line for this game coming up Saturday. So we're looking forward to it. But I did want to get both y'all's thoughts on this particular moment in the game. And David, we were watching the game together, so I was kind of I questioned it when it happened. But OB and David, how do y'all feel about that timeout with 16 seconds left? Auburn, near the goal line, we're kind of in scramble mode. Possibly could have been, the last play of the game. They probably would have thrown it, and if it was incomplete, they would have kicked a field goal. But just what are y'all's thoughts on that?
That was the third down one, and we're talking about at the very end of the game.
Correct, at the very end of the game.
I remember being a little incredulous that they called the timeout because the last thing I want at that point is for my opponent to be able to take a breath and think about what they need to do. However, I don't know what the situation was for A&M. Did they have the wrong guys in?
Right.
Were there too many guys on the field? Were there not enough? Did he see something in a matchup that says, okay, we don't, so there's all kinds of things that could have been at stake. But beyond that, in a perfect situation,
you don't call the
I don't want to give them any time to regroup. Now, what happened was it worked out, did it not? Because they had to kick the field goal.
Yep.
So we may be saying, well, I'm surprised that they took the timeout, but had they not taken it, it might not have got into overtime. Is that right?
Yep. They could have scored a touchdown and game over.
They haven't having to kick the field goal.
Yep. So, all right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I hung out the Angry Elephant on Friday afternoon. Love that place. We'll be doing a lot more with our good friends there. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Jackson Oxney is there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson, look at the smile.
I know. I'm trying to break my character because I'm excited. I'm excited about the game this week.
Well, I gave you props to start the show. Before the show, he's getting the notes together. He's like, "You excited?" And I wasn't feeling it at that moment, but I'm back in, buddy.
I understand it's a Monday, and I think what OB said is true, that I think Mondays is kind of a time to lament, like you said, a loss that was difficult, obviously 4 overtimes. It was an emotional loss, but I think we'll bounce back. I always try and stay optimistic, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised exactly that. I would not be surprised A&M wins this game and we go to Atlanta. I just wanted to go to Atlanta with our 9th win already.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, potentially 10th win. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to hit on our defensive line. Opposing offensive lines have not been called for holding against the Aggies since the second quarter against Bowling Green in week 4. So that's now 30 straight quarters of football plus the 4 overtimes where the Aggie defensive line hasn't drawn a holding call. And last season, this streak reached 10 quarters in SEC play in comparison to the 30.
Flop for me, baby.
Well, I do know that the SEC doesn't call holding a lot. I do find,
except on A&M.
Well, I mean, they typically just don't call it very often. I can remember the frustration like when Miles was playing and he couldn't get holding calls when he was getting tackled. But that is alarming to say that that they haven't. I didn't realize that that they haven't had a holding, because you say against Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
Had they even played an SEC opponent to that at that point? Maybe one? I don't think so.
No,
So what you're saying is they've not one time in an SEC game has. Oh, they had played Florida. Okay. So I wonder if I'm sure there's probably one. But anyway, so in 6 SEC games, then no holding calls.
That's stupid.
That almost. I mean, that's hard to believe.
You know what that means? We're writing a letter to Sankey now. Holding against Texas. Do it all game long.
Yeah, that's surprising. Huh.
And then our
or maybe offensive lines don't feel like they need to hold them.
Wow.
I was just gonna say, I think our offensive line played great. Marcel, he had a career high 22 completions, and TJ Shanahan, Armaj Reed Adams, and Chase Basantis, they earned A&M's 3 highest pass blocking grades against A&M, according to PFF. And the trio didn't allow a pressure hit or sack on 81 combined pass blocking snaps.
Jackson, good stuff, buddy. Thank you very much. Let's hit a break.
Let's do.
Come back with a turning point.
Okay.
And I think we're both on different pages, but I mean, they're all the same. You lost the game, it doesn't matter. And then Jackie Sherrill.
Yeah.
Then more thoughts. How's that sound? That sound like a good hour?
Let's go.
Let's go. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. This much I know. I was pretty good on my prize picks.
Oh, did you win some money?
I mean, they call me Money Nuño.
Money Nuño.
I used to be known as, Mr. Country Music. Now I'm Mr. Money Nuño. Like, I'm just money bags. Okay, I may have made $9 because I only did $5. That's all right. You can win a bunch of money if you are good with your 2 to 6 player stat projections. More than or less than. It's simple. You just do more than, less than, pick it on your little app. Boom, money. That's how it works. Be Money Nuño, Money OB. You play yet?
No.
You're traveling. You're traveling.
Yeah, and yeah.
We'll do it this week. All right?
Need to.
We'll do it this week. It is PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. It's PrizePicks.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Boss Firearms, your local experts. They buy used guns, ammo, and accessories. Go to bossfirearms.com and start earning money like a boss today. We go there. DJ wants to chit-chat about the last play of the game. DJ, good morning. Welcome to TexAgs.
The rack, 18 inches is exactly right here for the short. And then it also goes up to 28 if I need to put a bigger ladder and I want to slant it.
He wants to put a bigger ladder.
Well, you got that blockable ladder.
Huh.
I
thought he was...
Well, but there's times when I need a 40-footer.
I think we need to move on.
Yeah. Hey, DJ, we're going to go, okay? But just get that ladder. Thanks. Anyway.
Need an 18-inch ladder.
Who doesn't? Yeah, right? Like, that's not that big of a ladder when you think about it.
Well, I think he wants to extend it by 18 inches.
Anyway.
I thought he was thinking, I was thinking, well, I thought they were further out on that last play
than 18
inches. You know?
I think they were pretty close.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's only, what, a foot and a half?
The turning point.
Yeah, turning point.
So you and I are on different pages on this. And again, not that we're arguing about it.
The turning point was when he bought the ladder. He should have already had a longer ladder. That was a turning point when you chose the wrong ladder.
Some people have big ladders. Some don't. All right. Continue on, please.
Okay, for me, the turning point is, look, A&M was just taking the lead, and then the defense came out and got a stop and forced a punt. You've got the ball at the 41. There's 4 minutes to go. You've got the lead. 4 minutes to go, the lead and the ball. And I'm thinking if you can get one first down, it's probably over. And with one first down, if you have to punt, because you figure you're going to make the Auburn use up its timeouts. So, if it takes like 3 plays or even 2 plays to get the first down. So, the way I'm projecting it, you get a first down and you have to punt, Auburn's looking probably a best case scenario of about 45 seconds with the ball needing to go and having it at the 20 with no timeouts to try to score. With what has been a shaky kicking game too. And instead, Marcel, who was brilliant, but he just fumbles a shotgun snap that was, there's nothing wrong with it, and you lose 7 yards, and you get behind the chains. Now, the next 2 plays, everything's going to change. Just because you can't say, even if he had picked it up and run and got no gain, you can't say they would have gotten the score. But the next 2 plays, you picked up 11 yards. So if you don't, you can't put yourself behind the chains in that situation. And again, it comes back to when you are in a position to take control. What is it about A&M that doesn't make the play? Like I go back to South Carolina. You're just taking the lead. Mm-hmm. You're going to go into halftime with all the momentum in a 27. No, you get penalties and all that. What is it? That's the championship mentality that's lacking, or the mindset, or whatever. And I don't mean to put it on Marcel, but the fact of the matter is, you can't deny it. That's when everything started going wrong.
I can't disagree with you. For me, though, it's the play that would have ended the game, and that's the 4th and 2. Jackson Dart, here's the play. I hate watching it, but I asked for the video. Sorry, what did I say? Jackson Dart.
He looked like Jackson Dart.
Yeah, he ran like Jackson Dart. Peyton Thorne there.
What if he gets the first down, but you hold him to a 10-yard gain?
Yeah, not a 23-yard gain. Freaking over here, Lenore Sellers Jr., but he's not even touched. And that was the design. They knew.
I don't know if it was designed or not. If it wasn't something that A&M really does, but if it wasn't designed, he saw the opportunity and took it. So
to me,
if it was designed, it was a heck of a call. And if it wasn't designed, it was an outstanding decision by the quarterback.
If you make that play,
the game's over.
Game's over. If you stop him after 8 yards, I don't know if the game is over.
That clock is running.
Well,
maybe it's not. It stops for the first down, but they're still 15 yards further out.
Yeah. All right, and it's still tense. The closer you got, they knew once they got close, like, all right, even though they didn't
no longer a factor.
They didn't trust their field goal kicker, I get it, but they knew they were in a manageable area, right? So to me, make that play. The defense that we signed up for makes that play.
Yeah. And my point is, if you don't botch that snap and you're able to go get a first down, that play never really occurs.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you know what? You can go back and you can say, well, what if Theo Orstrom doesn't drop a pass at like the 20 that hits him on I think it was third down, that hits him right in the chest? What if he doesn't drop it? They maybe go score a touchdown and the game ends there. Mm-hmm. Instead, they go for it on fourth down and they don't get it, and Auburn takes over, around midfield, or the interception at the 25, or maybe one time when you get the ball at the 50 or the 40. And I think that's what's so frustrating. There were so many opportunities. Or hey, how about not getting into a 21-0 hole?
How about this? Of course, it was almost predictable. The play that we forget after they tie the game at 31, Terry Bussey with the best kick return of the year.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to happen then with no time on the clock. Yeah. That's how it goes.
If there had been 1 second left.
Just one.
Of course, there's only 5 seconds, so you knew when they...
But I'm just saying,
right.
I've been waiting for a kick return or a punt return this year. We've talked about it, what is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And it didn't happen. And then it happened when time didn't matter.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Great. I thought Terry Bussey looked great. So, there's that.
Yeah, and they used him more, and which I applauded. We all thought they need to.
But didn't we all have a moment when he went into the Wildcat the second time? We're wondering, what are they doing? And it was a brilliant play design, by the way.
I mean, it was there. That's one you can't put on the coaches.
But when I saw it initially, I was like, are they really going to try to run with Terry here? Like I was worried that was what they were going to. And then it was a great play. Awesome play, so props to them for that. All right. When I get depressed after sports hate, right? Or when I'm really happy about sports love, I like to celebrate, or what else?
Here's my problem. Was feeling bad, and unfortunately, I'd have to wait to Thursday to start feeling better. Why?
If you solely rely on your food to make you feel better, yes.
Yes.
And sometimes I do.
But I have to look like, at least the way I feel today, if 1775 was open, I could at least go over there, have something to look forward to, feel so much better after. I don't know how you can eat their ribs or their brisket
and not
or
be
their
happy.
queso and not be able to put everything behind you.
Brad and Braden, I'm just saying, maybe after wins and losses, just for us, hook us up with some 1775, right? Just to make us feel better.
See, at least, then you'd feel, okay, everything's right in the world again.
Not everything, but most things are right.
Yeah, but I think once I always say you got to put that one behind you, and it would have been so much easier to put it behind you after some 1775.
And put some ribs in front of you.
Those ribs, yes. Put the loss behind you with some ribs and beef from 1775 in front of you.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Their online ordering turns off at 10 a.m.
Get there early on Friday.
That's true. 8203 Raymond Stosser Parkway, Suite C, College Station. Call them up at 979-492-6241. It's 1775, TXBBQ.com. Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. We be back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Typically, this is our weekly conversation with Jackie Sherrill, brought to you by Texas Best Home Loans. You trusted Jackie to lead the Ags to Southwest Conference titles. Now, trust his son Braxton to lead you to the best rates in home loans and refinancing at Texas Best Home Loans. Score better rates and lower fees with Braxton Sherrill at txbesthomeloans.com. They're an equal housing lender. OB, a couple things we want to get to. Nick's going to read a stat for us here in a moment, but I want to read this chat, okay? And where did it go? It's from Calvin. He goes, Nuño, what gives you any reason to think that A&M will play well on Saturday? I'll let you start that answer.
Well, I mean, because of what's at stake. And I think A&M plays well in, since, say, in the last 3 games, at times.
Yeah.
The thing is, they've been schizophrenic within the games, within these SEC games. So with so much at stake, I would think you're going to be just more focused, more intense, and quite frankly, like I said, when you know that you're not playing to your ability and you're getting criticized, if you have any kind of competitive spirit, any kind of heart at all, you're going to react to that and want to prove things. Like I hate to bring up Texas, but I once watched them play Nebraska in the SEC championship. Their offensive line got destroyed by Nakamagong Su. You probably remember that game. And for the next several weeks before the national championship game, their offensive line was always talked about how bad it was.
Right.
Played great. The line itself played great against Alabama. I've seen A&M teams when, you question them for something, then they come back. I can remember the year they beat Oklahoma.
Well,
so when you keep hearing how bad you are, when you are, or how upset people are, or how bad you did, when you have you're competitive and have pride, you react to that, and very often positively.
But here's my reasoning. Why, this team is better than it showed. In my opinion, they are, okay? Especially at home. At home, they're a different team. They haven't been good on the road. I think hope is not a strategy. I recognize that. But Kyle Field is a magical place. And some really bad A&M teams have won some pretty big games. And also, this year in the SEC, it's proven a bad team like Oklahoma can punch you in the face when you least expect it.
Especially at night.
Texas already knows they're in the playoffs. So Quinn Ewers is...
Probably.
They're in.
They're probably. I would think so.
Yeah, they're in. If they lose to us, 10-2, they're in. If they win, they're in. Even if they lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, they're in. So I don't think they have the same urgency that A&M does, right? And I'm grasping at straws here. But here's what I worry about, OB.
I would disagree. I think they're going to play with the same urgency.
They might. I'm grasping. I'm hoping. Okay. There's a little hope in here. But here's one thing that isn't hope. This is a fact. This team hasn't started games well in a while. And scoring on your opening drive is part of football. I get it. But how many times this year has a team scored on the opening drive or A&M has seen themselves in a double-digit deficit? Okay.
Well, the last 3 games, the last 3 SEC games, for sure.
They started off 7-0 behind Mississippi State.
Okay.
They started off 7-0 behind Arkansas. So that happens in football. I'm just making that up that point. Against LSU, you were down 10-0, and it felt like it could have been 30-0. LSU was a way better team than you in that first half.
Yeah.
Okay. South Carolina?
You were down 14-0.
And then you were down 21-0 to Auburn. You're not going to win games like that.
No.
You're just not.
Well, they did against LSU, but you're right. Consistently, you keep falling behind consistently. But the thing is, all 3 of those games, or really every one of those games you mentioned, they came back and at some point had the lead.
Yep.
And then, lately haven't been able to protect the lead. So it's not that they're bad.
No.
But they're going to have to put together a full game. And I wonder when was the last time Missouri, that
full game, Florida-ish.
Well, I said, but they played Missouri since then.
Yeah.
Would that Elko would say, the last time we played a full game, because I thought you just mentioned Mississippi State, and then they almost let it get back into contention.
Yep. Yeah. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. A bunch of people have texted to the show, and so Chase in Houston said that it's factually incorrect, that he had seen that A&M would get into the SEC championship game regardless if they beat Auburn. I saw the playoff matrix say something completely different, that it was not guaranteed if they beat Auburn. I think there's been two schools of thought there depending on people's analytics.
I hadn't seen that. He'd have to explain to me why that's the case, because I'd never heard that from all the playoff scenarios.
Yeah, we went through it here in the office with Zane and Nick and Kay, and we went through all in. No, I mean, they obviously were in a better position, but it was not a guarantee still. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know we've got more text messages to get into, Jackson.
Yeah, we actually got a text from former 12th man Connor Choate.
Connor!
Yeah.
Connor.
Shout out Connor. He said, I want to bring up the special teams part of this game. Auburn, awful punting. Thought we could have taken more advantage of that. Also, deciding to kick a 54-yarder felt like it got the crowd into the game early.
I think what you're really look, and Randy Bond's been excellent this year, but I think when you're trying to when you're asking a guy to kick, when you get over 50, sometimes I'm thinking, is the risk worth the reward?
Right.
And of course, look, if he makes it, hey, great decision, right? So I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad one, but so that puts you in a spot. It took 2 plays later, you're down 14-0. Now maybe it wouldn't have mattered because A&M wasn't covering anybody.
Yeah.
But 2 plays, you give them the ball at midfield, and 2 plays later, you're down 14-0.
I'm going to read this, and then we got to hit a break because Kay's coming up with Around Aggieland. So if we can't beat Auburn, this is from a 910. Can we beat Texas? And I don't think you can look at one game and go ahead. You look like you're frustrated.
I mean, what told you that that Oklahoma was going to beat Alabama?
What told you that A&M would beat LSU a couple years ago?
Right, or this year even.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, this year I thought they would.
Okay. It seemed like LSU for some reason in my mind had momentum going into that game. I think they just beat Ole Miss not long before, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right. 2 years. The Steve McGee year, or actually both of those years against Texas in 6 and 7.
Yep.
I think it was. What made you think? So. Because I see it, I think the frustration is you see it in A&M. Like we say, you see them, all those games you get behind, and then you see them come back and get the lead, and you're thinking, and to get the lead, especially against Auburn, the defense had to start playing better. So you see it, and you ask yourself, well, why can't you maintain it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's at home. You know what? Texas hadn't played an SEC opponent on the road at night.
Yeah.
That's odd.
That is odd. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. Bird Dog, an Aggie-owned operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. Think about an Airbnb for hunting. They're awesome. They released a video with me in it just this weekend on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it. It's cool. It just kind of showed what we did. It showed my first kill. Hey, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it showed it. And it just, the Roger Krager concert, it was great. You should certainly reach out to Bird Dog for your next hunting activity with your friends. It's great for fellowship. It's great if you're a seasoned hunter, if you're brand new to hunting, whatever it may be. Let them guide you and make the event awesome for you. The website is birddogit.com, birddogit.com. They make memories for hunting in the outdoors, something that everyone should experience. birddogit.com. All right, we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creation. It's time for Around Aggieland, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normangstatebank.com. With that, Kay Naegeli.
We were talking to OB before the break, and he was saying how he was dodging all these people whenever the field got stormed. That's his second field storming that he's just had to weave out of the way for people.
I think people just field storm the field storm now.
Second
I think so too.
In 2 weeks. I mean, in 2 SEC games. I mean, it's
and then the basketball team had a field storm or a court storm.
It's been a year.
All right, guys. I don't know. I have my opinions on it. Kay, what do you have for us?
Let's get to it. We all know the result that happened with football, so I won't dwell on that, but that does set up a huge showdown with Texas and Texas A&M this weekend. Going to be a heck of a game. I mean, if you talk about environment in College Station, Kyle Field's going to be absolutely nuts, but we're going to turn the page onto some men's basketball. The Aggies traveled to Las Vegas just last night. They will play in the Players Era Festival beginning with Oregon. That is tomorrow at 3:30. Have some early basketball on Tuesday, and then Creighton will be on Wednesday at 5:30. Moving over to women's, unfortunately, the women's team fell to Villanova and Ball State. Those were this past weekend at the Battle for Atlantis tournament that is in the Bahamas. They will take on Southern Miss for their final game in the Bahamas tonight at 7:30. That is on Flow College if you want to watch that. And they're currently sitting at 3-3, so not a great start for Joni Taylor's Aggies, but hopefully they can start flipping it around as conference play nears. The volleyball team had a heck of a weekend. They closed out their home slate with not one, but 2 conference wins. They beat Georgia and LSU this weekend at Reed Arena. They currently sit at 18-7. That is a 9-6 SEC record. That is pretty good for conference volleyball with just one more regular season match to go. That is South Carolina at noon on Saturday. So before you head to Kyle Field and watch the Aggies beat the hell out of Texas, you can go watch, you can watch them out at South Carolina. Moving on to some women's tennis, Nicole Kieran dropped her NCAA Division I singles championship quarterfinal match to a Georgia player. She lost in straight sets on Friday. The women's tennis team will return to action in January, so they have a little bit of a break, January 8th through 11th, when they head to Hawaii, Honolulu, actually, for a Hawaii Invitational. And last but not least, the number 2 equestrian team defeated Baylor, number 9 Baylor, I should say, 12-6 on Friday afternoon. They also have a bit of a break, and they will return to action on Saturday, February 1st, as they will face SMU. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, KK. Nick, do we have time for that tweet, or you think it's going to take too much time? You can read it to us.
Yeah, I can read it to you real quick. So, it's a tweet from Brandon Zimmerman, and it's the 8 SEC teams in the AP Top 25 are just 14-15 in true SEC road games this year. Texas and South Carolina, the only teams in that group with winning records. Texas is 2-0, South Carolina 3-1. Pardon me. Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M all 2-2. Tennessee 1-2, Bama 1-3, Missouri 1-3. So really tough to win on the road.
It's true.
It is,
especially at night.
So win this weekend.
Just win it. That's all that matters.
And then win on a neutral site game. Yeah. And then win your first playoff game.
Play Georgia and Atlanta in a neutral site game.
Very neutral.
But it won't be at night.
Look, nothing will surprise me. So I do believe we'll see a better game on Saturday.
Yes.
All right, welcome back to TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's get ready for an awesome, awesome week. I know I was a little moody in the first hour. We're turning the page here, celebrating 130 years of fierce competition, deep-rooted tradition. It's the Cotton Holding Lone Star Showdown Week. And to discuss the activities, we've got Vice President of Student Affairs, Brigadier General Joe Ramirez, who's a Houston native, graduate of A&M, where he was a member of the Texas Aggie Band, Corps of Cadets, decorated 31 military years of military service, I should say. Also our head yell leader, Jake Carter, who believes in a life of service. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Great to be here. Great to see you guys. So let's get into, can we look at the last game for a moment and get us ready? That game was not fun for any of us, right? But everything is still there. So, General Ramirez, if you want to start us off, it's just, your optimism for this football team and also just how great of a week it could be.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this coming weekend. I graduated back in the day when we played TU every year. It was the big game of the year. We all looked forward to it, and it didn't matter what the record was during the year. If you beat TU, it was a winning season. I'm really excited about Coach Elko and what he's done with the team this year, and looking forward to a great game this Saturday.
Jake?
Yeah, I've never been to this historic rivalry. 13 years ago, but I never went here or anything. So I'm super excited. The students are really excited. So I think everything's there for us, and the students and the 12th man are going to come through this weekend. So we're really excited.
Did you grow up with family that's Aggie?
No, my dad actually went to Texas.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
No Aggie blood at all.
So, but you grew up with this rivalry, right? Like a little bit?
A little bit. I watched some of the games and stuff, but never really truly grasped how big it was. So,
General Ramirez, what made you choose Texas A&M?
Well, actually, I chose Texas A&M by virtue of the fact that I wanted to be in the Aggie Band. I saw the Corps march into downtown Houston one day when I was in high school and saw the Aggie Band. I played alto sax, and when I saw that band, I was hooked. I said, okay, I want to go to Texas A&M and be a part of that band. Didn't know where A&M was, knew nothing about A&M, its traditions, the Corps, anything about that, but that's what made me decide to come here.
Can you take me through the career, like A&M and then beyond and coming back?
Wow, that's I'm not sure you got enough time. I was lucky enough to get into A&M. Thankfully, the academic standards back then weren't nearly as high as they are now. I came to A&M, joined the Aggie Band, did 4 years here in the Corps. I really loved my time with the band and got a chance to command one of the companies in the band my senior year. I owed the Army 4 years when I graduated. They paid for my last 2 years of school. So I went in the Army thinking I was going to do 4 years and wound up staying for 31 and have been all over the world. I've been very, very lucky, been blessed in both peacetime and wartime. And I will tell you that no matter where I was in the world, there were 2 games I never missed if they were streaming or it was showing on television. And that was Army-Navy and that was A&M-Texas.
Yeah.
I never missed those games if they were showing. It didn't matter if I was deployed or if I was serving overseas. If those games were on, I was watching them. So a big deal for me. And then 2010, I got a chance to come back and became the Commandant of Cadets. Did that for 10 and a half years. Loved every bit of that, giving back to an organization that gave me so much. And then in 2021, at that time, President Kathy Banks asked me to step in as the interim Vice President for Student Affairs. And I did that for about 6 months. And then she asked me to become the permanent. I've been doing it for 3.5 years now. But I'm set to retire in January.
I want to chit-chat a little bit about that. Jake, so this rivalry, I know it means something to you, but what does it mean to you as a youngster who didn't really grow up with it, but you've heard all the stories?
Right. I think it's more than just a game for A&M, especially. It's who kind of runs Texas. Yeah. And I think from what I've just seen in the preview leading up to this, people have been waiting years for this game to happen again. And from people who grew up in Aggie families and to see how excited they are, it's gotten me excited. So to be able to serve in this role and to be able to get the 12th man and our fan base, the best fan base in this country, excited for this game, it's a pretty easy job to do, but we're really excited for it. So
we got Jake Carter in studio, head yell leader, and obviously General Ramirez with us. Let's talk about the events because it's a little different looking week, and I think the most important thing to start off with, I don't know about the most important, but the one that's going to catch some attention is yell practice. It's kind of we got a different setup for this one.
We do now. Just to backtrack a little bit, we've been working on this as a committee for about 10 months now.
Okay.
So we've been putting a lot of time and effort in trying to figure out the right events to have that weekend, a big Renew the Rivalry weekend. Yell practice will take place at 5:30 on Friday evening. And people have asked why 5:30. We tried to center it around the time we would normally burn bonfire. We normally have the yell practice at the bonfire. And quite frankly, we talked to Coach Elko, and we asked Coach Elko. We wanted him and the team to be at yell practice. And we said, look, we'll structure the time of the yell practice around your schedule. You tell us when you're available, and that's when we'll start yell practice so that you and the team can be there. We think it's important they're a part of this yell practice. And so that's why we're holding it at 5:30. It'll be at Kyle Field. We're expecting a big crowd, and we've got a great program. And I think I'm going to turn that over to Jake and let Jake talk about the actual run of show and how that's going to unfold.
Yeah, take us through it.
Yeah, just kind of bounce off that. Just having the team there, I think, is really special. Where else in college sports do you see an entire football program come out and be a part of the student body to get ready for the game? So we got the team coming out. President Welsh will be there. The actual ball will be presented. For the game ball will be presented as well. They'll have a normal run of show for a yell practice. Get the 12th man excited for the game. They'll also end it with a 12-minute fireworks show. So it's going to be a bit of a longer yell practice, but we got a lot in store. Expecting a big crowd too.
And that number 12, that's awesome for the
very special.
Yeah. What can we? Is there anything you can shed details on what we can expect from this fire show? Not that What can you tell us?
It's a 12-minute fireworks show. We wanted something special. This is something the students came up with. So it's a 12-minute fireworks show at the end of the yell practice. It'll be on the west end of the stadium, up on the upper level, third deck, and it'll be set to music. And from what I've heard, this is going to be quite the show, and it'll follow right after the yell practice ends.
And we also have an awesome concert. We got the Cotton Holding Lone Star Showdown concert presented by ASA Events, featuring Pat Green, Shane Smith and the Saints, and the Randy Rogers Band. How about that?
That's great. It's it's a big concert. Now we've already sold well over 6,000 tickets.
Oh wow!
So a lot of interest in this one. It's good. The doors will open at 7, and the first concert will take place at 8.
Forgive me for asking. I don't really pay attention to opposing teams. How often do opposing teams come to yell practice? I'm trying to remember back to the day with Tech. They don't really come, right?
No, not. Back in my day, they never came. I don't know if they've come recently.
Bonfire, we would see Texas fans walk around the bonfire.
Every now and then, you'd see folks walking around the bonfire. And this time, as Jake mentioned, we've got a team of veterans and cadets from both schools that are ruck marching a game ball from Austin to College Station. So when they present the game ball to Coach Elko, there'll be a veteran and a cadet from each school presenting that game ball.
How long does that take?
Quite a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It's an all-day affair, and it's a team,
Right.
So, but it'll be a big event for Texas A&M and for TU.
Let's also talk about Saturday, the 13-0 Burn Barbecue Cook-Off. How about that?
Right, that's a cook-off competition. We currently have 16 teams that are entered. We've got 12 what we're calling community teams and 4 student teams that are entered in this one. There's 3 competitions: chicken, pork ribs, and brisket. We've got 9 judges, so we have 3 judging each meat category. We're excited about it. It's going to be right there in Aggie Park, and they'll be arriving on Friday, bringing in their crew-served grills and start cooking whenever they're ready. And then we'll start the judging for chicken will be at noon. Judging for the pork ribs will be at 1, and judging for brisket will be at 2, and then we'll announce the winner at 4:30 that afternoon.
I'm also seeing Friday at 2 o'clock, standing room only, The Legend of the 12th Man, a 102-minute documentary produced in 2022 that tells the history, the tradition, and the legend of college football's greatest tradition, the 12th man, from his origin in the early days of Texas A&M to his continued impact. That's something to watch.
Yeah, that's correct. We wanted to have something for folks that are on campus that day, that are looking for something to do. So at Rudder Theater, we'll be showing 2 movies at 2 o'clock, as you mentioned, standing room only. And at 7 o'clock that evening, after yell practice, we'll be showing The Burning Desire, the story of the bonfire collapse.
Yep, that's how great is it that you have a head coach that wants to be involved and be there? Jake?
It means a lot. I'll just speak to that first off. Being able to go play with the team for a week as the head yell leader, I remember I got to go speak with Coach Elko and talk to him about it. And he was all about it, and it's like, whatever you need, I'm here for you, and I want to be part of the traditions here at A&M and be able to be a part of connecting the athletes with the students and the fan base. So, from doing that to now, it just speaks to his character, and that it's really more than just about football. So,
General Ramirez, did you fear or did you think that maybe we won't get this game back?
I was concerned. There was a time when you could see a lot of the chatter where folks didn't feel we needed TU on our schedule. I'm an old school kind of guy. I just remember the rivalry and how big a game that was every year.
Right.
And what it meant for all of us that grew up in Texas, because it gave us bragging rights for a year. I was here, from 75 to 79. We won 2 years, we lost 2 years. But it was bragging rights with friends that you knew that went to that other school in Austin. And I think it's just a big game. Everybody gets up for this game for all the right reasons. And like I said, the rest of the season didn't matter when it came to that game.
What about your retirement? So you're going to get to celebrate with your family and your grandchildren, your children. You said you have 9 kids and 8 grandchildren?
Yes, that's correct. My wife and I have 9 children and 8 grandchildren, and we're excited. I've been doing this for 45 years now, and I'm not getting any younger, and I wanted to be able to retire when I was still young enough and healthy enough to be able to enjoy it. And so my wife and I are going to travel and spend time with kids and grandkids and do the kinds of things that retirees do. I'll probably be one of those guys sitting at Denny's at 6 o'clock in the morning drinking coffee with all my buddies, talking about A&M football. But I'm excited about it, looking forward to it, and I've truly enjoyed 31 years in the military and 14 years at Texas A&M.
Well, thank you for your service and an amazing career. Just let's close out with just some final thoughts. I mean, a week of activities and hopefully culminates with a trip to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing would be to the 12th man. I mean, let's bring the energy. I mean, part of this game is on us. Kyle Field is known for a reason. Hopefully we'll break the record. We'll bring an incredible atmosphere for our team, for Coach Elko. It's going to be an incredible game. And honestly, what a blessing to be a part of this game. Who thought we'd have come back? And here we are. It's only a few days away. So,
General Ramirez.
Well, as an old ag, I got to tell you, I am truly excited to see this game back. I'm excited for this coming weekend and all the events surrounding the game, to include, the 13-0 burn and the yell practice and the fireworks and the concert. But more importantly, what this means for all of us in the state of Texas. I mean, this is the game of the year for everybody in the state of Texas, and it's just exciting to see it back. And I'm looking forward to a great game this weekend and seeing the 12th man out in force and to beating the hell out of TU.
I'll close with this. That LSU atmosphere was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been at, right? This year, like that. I mean, there have been some special moments, but that for some reason, there was electricity in the air for that game. This is going to blow that out of the water, guys.
Totally agree. I totally agree with you.
Both of you guys, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Beat the hell out of TU.
Yes, sirs. All right, let's hit a break here in a moment. Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. When you're looking for a vehicle, that's where you go, because you want great customer service, great pricing, and a great trade-in value. And of course, back to that customer service, they are the #1 place to go in the Brazos Valley. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They also have free oil changes for life on the life of your vehicle, as long as you own that car from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're a proud supporter of Aggie athletics, and they have a huge inventory to fit most needs. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell, a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Welcome back into the program. We call it TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It has been an interesting morning because I think there's been a bevy of emotions, right? You've got where some people want to stay angry with sports. There's that sports anger. We all have a little bit, at least I get it. Like you don't want to be happy, right? I just want to be mad. You talk like that to your family. And then you've got optimistic, but guys, look, we came back. We did this. I think we all know that this team, I don't even know if I can say we all know. I think we all expect for this team to play better than they played against Auburn, against Texas. Does that mean that they defeat Texas? That doesn't mean anything. But I expect I expected a completely different game against Auburn. I did. I thought A&M was going to win by 10. By the way, they could have. But I thought A&M was going to win by 10, Jackson. And they didn't. And a lot of it was missed opportunities. We went through it in the first hour. Opportunity A, B, C. You get a pick. 17, 16-yard line, whatever it was. You get 3. You don't get 7. That ends the game, guys. There's so many moments. Oh. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson, I know a lot of people have been texting the program today. Thoughts on the YouTube page and, of course, TexAgs.com.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, too, as someone from San Diego and not I wasn't born in Texas, obviously. I've only been in Texas for about 3 years. I think having General Ramirez on and talking about the traditions of A&M and the history of this rivalry, I think it really gets me fired up, and I'm excited about all the events that are coming up. I didn't realize they did so much around campus for the rivalry. I think it's pretty cool.
Interesting, and I don't mean this as a shot, Jackson. Please don't take it as a shot. But it's interesting. A lot of the students that I've talked to don't recognize. There were people who don't know the story of the bonfire and don't really grasp this rivalry with Texas. And it's not your generation's fault. You didn't live it the way we did, right? And I think, I don't know if the beauty is the right word, but you all are getting to know it, pretty quickly and feel it. And I'm sure in your conversations with Texas friends, I know you didn't grow up in the Texas area, but you probably have some people that you know that went to Texas. You probably see the chatter online. This game is like, this is the game. This is the game.
It's a Super Bowl, the Texas Super. I mean, it's like
yeah. I mean, I hate giving it that because Texas looks at that as we're your Super Bowl. But what I mean is, it's a celebration of football around Thanksgiving, where families get together and neighbors, and it's just like my family alone. The Nuño side of the family, pretty much Aggies, right? My kids are Aggies. Okay. My kids are Aggies. My wife went to Texas. By the way, when she was watching the game against Auburn, every time A&M did something, look what we just did. The word we. So I'm going to call her an Aggie. But her brothers went to Texas, right? And it's very friendly at Thanksgiving. And it's not like we see the volatility that we sometimes see online. But don't get me twisted, right? Like, don't get it twisted. I get angry, very angry. Like, Saturday watching that game.
Like an angry elephant.
Like a very angry elephant, right? Saturday at that game, or watching the game here, I didn't go to Auburn on this trip. I went from just grumpy to, oh my God, we're going to do it. I shouldn't say, oh my God, but oh my goodness, we're going to do it. To, we didn't take advantage of this opportunity, to, oh no, we're going to oh gosh, dog it, this is how we're going to lose.
It was a roller coaster of emotions.
It was too much.
Yeah.
If you were a viewer of football and it's not your team, an awesome football experience. If it's your team that lost, one of the worst experiences. Like, it sucked. South Carolina sucked. These games take a lot out of you. But again, like, I'm not going to apologize for doing great. I didn't do anything. I'm not going to apologize for the A&M football team doing great in the first part of SEC play to put themselves in a position that, yeah, you've lost 2 in a row SEC games, but you have a chance, you have a golden opportunity to go to Atlanta. And you thought you were burned, but the football god said, no, we're going to give you one more chance. So do it. Please do it. Get to Atlanta.
Well, to speak on more on the rivalry and kind of how it's changed with the NIL and portal era, we got a text from Ron, class of 80, 979 number. he said, in this NIL/portal era with players from other parts of the country and current players were 5 to 9 years old for the last TU game, do the current players appreciate the rivalry and hatred for TU? Does the fact that this is the TU rivalry game energize this team?
I think, look, if you live on this campus or in Austin, right, you know what this rivalry means. You may not know it to the extent of like living through it, like games, but you know what you're about to head into.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like, you look at pro sports too. Do rivalries really mean the same thing in pro sports? No. Like, the Eagles and the Cowboys, they matter because they play each other every year, but I don't think there's that deep-rooted hate. I miss sports hate. I miss it. And college football was one of those sports for the longest time that fans still have it, but, like, the players didn't. When LeBron started inviting everybody to go be his friend and teammate and, like, things have changed. But I miss the days of Johnny Damon wouldn't lead the Red Sox to go to the Yankees, but he did, right? And I know this happened before. I know there have been people who have left one team to go to the other, and people who have left Texas to come to A&M and A&M to go to Texas. I like sports hate from players. I want them to be thinking about it. And I think LSU and A&M had that because they've played each other. These players have it maybe because what they see online and social media and what's at stake. But I think once the battles start, right, that's where the real sports hate comes.
I think they'll feel the environment in Kyle Field. I think they'll feel like the intensity of the rivalry just with the atmosphere at Kyle Field.
Yeah.
I think the players will.
Hey, another 979 says, lots of sunshine pumping this morning. 979, every text from you, I'm looking through, is everything you text the show is negative. Everything just go through this thing. Just scroll down. Everything is freaking negative. It's I can't hear you. It's this. Everything. Ben, I love that you listen, class of 74. You're awesome. Appreciate you. If you heard sunshine pumping, what did we say? What did we say that was sunshine pumping? I'm genuinely asking because people like to hear things the way they want to hear things. I think I'm a better talk show host when I get mad and it upsets people too. It's weird. Like some people love it, some people hate it. I'm just going to be me. Sunshine pumping. If you consider this sunshine pumping, Ben, the facts are if you beat Texas at home, you go to the SEC championship. If that's sunshine pumping, then why even listen to the show? You want to just be angry? We have no chance to beat Texas. Like, you want to be a communist dictator and just use that term?
Why did he just become Russian all of a sudden?
I don't know. It just felt like the moment felt. I felt like Ivan Drago for a moment. Nikolai Volkov. Do you guys know who those guys are? Look.
Who?
Nikolai Volkov.
I don't.
You remind me of him a lot. Anyway. Yeah, I'll hit a break here. I just want to say this. And I mean this. Like, I really do mean this. I'm not happy that A&M lost, obviously. If you want me to tell you why they're going to lose, then don't listen to this show. If you want me to tell you I'm concerned, listen to this show. If you want me to tell you also how I actually feel, I feel that A&M can beat them. But the way the defense played Saturday, they're not going to win. We were going to hit a break. But, okay, so we'll hit a break. That's what we'll do.
I think I might be the sunshine pumper that he's referring to, potentially.
It's just reality.
Yeah.
Who's referring to this?
No, somebody texted the show that was lots of sunshine pumping. I don't know.
Read it to me.
Okay.
Go throttle somebody because you're being way too nice today. I don't know if I can say kill on air.
Wow.
I don't know if I can say God. I have to say.
Oh, I can say whatever I want moving forward?
Free reign.
Free reign.
We'll pay the fine.
Billy Liucci. Pretty good boss.
We'll pay him.
He's okay. I like him. He's a friend. Ben, I'm just playing with you. All right. I'm not playing with you, but whatever. Milliken Reserve. Can I talk about Milliken Reserve? Is that all right? All right. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Milliken Reserve is a farm-to-table community in College Station. They have homes, they have trails, they've got farms, they've got wide open spaces. But best of all, they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. I like Milliken Reserve. Drove by it yesterday. I was thinking, I want to go for a walk. If you don't believe me, ask my family. You don't have their phone number, so you can't. Anyway, they're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community, respect for the native landscape, and, of course, 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and trails. They are committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat with the native species that find their homes there in those preserved woods, those ponds, and those creeks. They have white-tailed deer, songbirds, rabbits, and turtles. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website, again, is millikenreserve.com. Hey, everybody. Lots of sunshine in the studio today. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm allowed to say whatever the heck I want to say, and I will talk about Chance McClain and Heritage Films. Love me some Chance McClain and Heritage Films. They're a documentary company that loves to tell people stories. They can tell your story. If you're new to TexAgs, where you been? But beyond that, you need to know about Chance and his company, Heritage Films, because they'll make a documentary film about your dad, your father, your grandfather, tell the entire family story, how your family, I don't know, moved to the United States, moved to Texas, went to A&M. Your big brother was the first Aggie in the family. Your grandfather, Vietnam veteran, also an Aggie, started this. Like, there's so many different stories you can tell, and everybody's got a family story. We all have one, and have it done by a professional Netflix-style documentary. I think it's the way to do. Like, it's just something that you need to certainly take a look at. It is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, yourheritagefilm.com. And with that, Billy Liucci, who's already thinking about how he can come after me. Hi, Billy.
What's up?
Do you want me to read this text, or do you want
I'm just
to...
over here doing it.
Okay, that hit me.
No, it did
It
not.
totally hit me.
I see it going over there.
All right. Do you want me to read this text?
Sure.
All right.
You gonna set me off today?
No, I don't
because
think...
I'm
You weren't on the show in the first
I'm
hour.
gonna tell you what. I heard you sitting over here.
Uh-huh.
You were scared to say words. You're making up words like "Dad, burn it."
Did I say "Dad, burn it"? I think you have...
Jackson, have some fun. Lighten up and join the party over here. Make fun of Nuño saying "Dad, burn it."
I didn't hear him say "Dad, burn it," but
Gosh darn it, maybe.
That's a word. Gosh dog it is a word.
Dog it. That was what it was.
Gosh dog
Gosh
it.
darn it is fine. Gosh dog it.
Billy, I have children. I have completely changed my vocabulary. That's what happens.
And you can't say that you killed a bird on air?
I don't know.
Are you scared of PETA or your kids on
PETA.
that?
I was actually scared. They've sent me a release before.
I will say, gosh dog it sounds like something you'd hear in a kid's show.
Yeah.
Gosh dog it.
I would be on Nickelodeon right now.
Gosh dog it
Oh, wait.
sounds like not a shot.
I saw that
Gosh dog
documentary.
it. Can I say shot? I shot the cup into the. It wasn't actual. Gosh dog it sounds like something you'd hear on like King of the Hill.
I can't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched King of
Gosh
the Hill.
dog it, Bobby.
Never watched King of the Hill. That won't surprise you.
I kind of did when it first came out, maybe like that first year.
All right.
I'm not looking at it because we're on air, but I'm getting a text right now. I can see the little wheels turning from Dalton. So clearly he's listening and likes this hard open.
Good old tweeter Dalton. All right.
Yeah, I heard he was active. He went the...
I love him, but sometimes you don't need to tweet everything you think. Anyway, here's a guy who has a lot to think.
Again.
You're not good.
I just made it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you did make it. Look at that. 979. I'm just going to finish because I started. All right. I didn't even get to the other part of the text. Apparently, we did a lot of sunshine pumping this morning in the AM. Starting to believe that a lot of problems with Texas A&M is the acceptance of mediocrity from fans, etc. Yeah, we accept a lot of mediocrity. That's our fault.
Have you
heard one of the questions from Elko? How proud of the team were you for coming back down 14-0? Does Kirk Bowles prop up stuff like that in Austin? No, they win. That's what they do.
They've won
We suck. It's
Kirk.
what we do. Don't listen anymore. Sorry, go ahead. You said I can say whatever I want.
Good. I like it.
Gone. Blocked. Text blocked.
No, don't block. I'm just telling them to quit listening.
I don't
If it
block
makes
people.
you, if it bothers you that much, go find the angry hour. You can go listen to that, and it'll make you feel better. By the way, here's a little news flash. It's not going to help you at all. You clearly, no matter how much we yell and scream, A, it doesn't change anything. B, I think we've been perfectly critical of the performance. I think there does need to be something stated about the comeback. The fight they showed. We also certainly talk about no excuse for digging yourself a 21-0 hole. That's how the game was lost. I don't know. We can take all these other things, but and they shouldn't have lost. You know, you have so much in front of you, and you go on the road. But it does happen in this conference, and there are a lot of angry fan bases right now. And this is a unique, weird year around the league. But more importantly, it's a unique year at Texas A&M. And I think there is a disconnect. And I do think this game is very, very important because I think it changes how this first season under Mike Elko is perceived dramatically. And losing to Auburn
has a big effect on how this is going to be perceived. Because if you'd have won that game, you're 9-2 going into the Texas game, and even if you lost to the Longhorns, which would be devastating, you're 9-2 going into your final game with a chance at 10. You know, it would feel so much different than all other seasons of late. You know, all the recent seasons, and in year one, feels that much different. You are grading Mike Elko, and you cannot move the target from this is year one. You can recalibrate expectations. So we watched them play, and as the stakes went up, you say they need to go win at Auburn. They need to go win at South Carolina. They certainly don't need to lose both and give up almost 80 points in the process. They don't need to fall behind 14-0 after 2 drives and 21-0 after 3 drives. We've seen enough of that, this team, to know they're better than doing that. So that's how you adjust what you expect from a football team. But in year one of a program that was, you know, somebody said, well, if he goes 8-4, that's the same thing Jimbo did in year one. Okay. All right. The guy you hired that was a national championship coach, and you paid at the time, you know, the most money in college football, and he got you to 8-4 with a top 10 win. And Mike Elko comes in after the program's gone 14-15 or whatever it's been over 2 years. And if he took you to 8-4 with 2 top 10 wins and had you playing for a playoff berth, then don't tell me they backed their way into this situation because Bama and Ole Miss lost. Because my answer would be, in some ways, yes, but they have played 7 games that have them in this position. And if you want to say they didn't play the same schedule as, say, a Georgia or in Alabama, I would say fine. I would say they played a schedule equally as hard as Tennessee or Texas, who are the other contenders. They played a schedule that wasn't much off of Ole Miss. So everyone did it, and everyone got stung one way or the other. The Aggies got stung. I wouldn't say they got stung by South Carolina, because South Carolina, I mean, they should have beat Bama, and by, as far as I'm concerned, they did beat LSU, and they get that play call back. That wasn't so much of a – they got stung by Auburn. That's one, like, a 5-1 SEC team should not lose to a 1-5. Guess what? Neither should Alabama. Alabama got stung by Vandy and a really bad OU team. Ole Miss got stung by Kentucky and a Florida team A&M beat. Texas hadn't played any of those teams. They did play the ones that could sting you. They didn't play any other. They played one really good one, and they got stomped at home at night. We talk about how hard on the road at night. So everybody's gotten it. Tennessee got stung up in Fayetteville by a team A&M beat. So they have earned it. Now they're not going to be able to, you know, backdoor their way into the SEC championship game or the playoff now. Now they're going to have to really win. That's where this Auburn game is so costly. Okay, here's why. If A&M beats Texas and were to reach the playoff, this is a wildly successful first season under Mike Elko by any metric. I don't care if it's this JA, and I'll let you guys do the math on that one. This JA, this B that just texted in, and I hope you're still listening because you know what I'm saying. That guy that texted in, it might not be enough for him, but it should be enough for everyone. If they beat Texas and are playing for an SEC title. Now, here's the problem with the Auburn game. If you'd have beaten Auburn and beat Texas, you're in the playoff. And a week ago, we were wondering what would a 10-3 A&M look like if they lost the SEC title game. Based on what happened this weekend with Bama, with Ole Miss, with BYU, who else up there? Maybe even Indiana. I mean, they're going to be in, but probably on the back end. What happened with those teams, Texas A&M at 10-3 with a win over Texas and a win over Auburn, and being the only team in the SEC that went 7-1, which would have been their record. We're talking about if they win this weekend. They would 100% be in. So, like, in other words, beat Auburn, and you could have clinched a playoff berth, in my opinion. And I'm 100% convinced of that if you'd have beaten Texas. A 10-3 A&M team in this scenario
gets in.
Of what a difference a week makes gets in. And that's off the table now. And I do not think, and I know people will argue with me and they'll say, hey, they're going to protect the SEC championship game loser, but they're not. There's a limit to it, and I think you cross that limit if you lose to Georgia and it's your 4th loss of the season. I just don't see it. So I think A&M, their playoff starts now, and they're getting a home game against the number 3 seed, okay? They're getting a home game against the 3 seed, and if they win that, they got to go play Georgia, neutral site in their backyard. So this is the playoffs. This is it. You want to be in it. And by the way, I have a hard time thinking that the playoffs outside of probably a national title game, let's say they make a Final Four, it could be this exciting. Might not. You might play a team that the fans only care, like to play Texas, and then if you had a crack at Georgia for an SEC title, that would be the peak. To play and beat Texas and take the field in Atlanta for an SEC championship and a lock-in playoff berth in the first year of the 12 team and to hold up an SEC title trophy. Just beating Texas, setting that up, making that trip to Atlanta, taking the field that day, 2 weeks from now, that would be the pinnacle up to this point of modern A&M football. It would be bigger than the Johnny Heisman season. It would be bigger than a Big 12 championship in 98. And the thing that stands in your way is your hated rival that you haven't played in 13 years. And they're coming back, and it is a giant roadblock. They are an outstanding team. They're coming in just as hungry to beat you as you are them. This is not like they're overlooking A&M at all. This is going to be good old-fashioned Texas Lone Star hate is what this is going to be. But that's it, man.
Yeah.
That is it. It's a damn good football team that's in your way with great players at like most positions on the field. I still say they haven't played anyone with an offense yet, but we've seen this A&M offense struggle against lesser defenses than Texas for large periods of games. So it is an elite defense led by NFL draft picks, high picks. It's an offense with future NFL high-round picks really at every position. It's tough, but it's also the only thing standing between you and all of this.
I'll do you the favor, and I won't read you his response.
Okay, you can read it on air or off. I don't care. I mean, if it depends on how long you think it's going to distract me.
I'll do it off air.
Okay, that's fine.
Lewis Engineering, unless you want me to do it on air later.
Door's right here.
No, it's not like threatening. No, nothing
I'm
like
just
that,
saying. If you want,
I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read you the last line.
No, save it because I don't want to go. I don't want to go off the rails.
Lewis Engineering, machine shop located in Marshall, Texas, would like to become your premier metal fabrication supplier. Great people there. Doug is an awesome Aggie. You should reach out and you can chat with him about all the great things that they're doing there at Lewis Engineering, and also talk some Aggie football with them. They've been around since 1961. He supplied the Defense Department, Aerospace Department, automotive, and oilfield industries with quality metal components. He is the 4th generation Aggie to own Lewis Engineering. A few of their services include CNC, machining, stamping, assembly, welding, plating. They specialize in high volume production as well as close to tolerance projects. They invite you to outsource your machining to a company that many Fortune 500 companies have. Call Doug Lewis up for a quote, 903-938-6754. That is 938-6754. Visit them online at lewisengineeringco.com. As a reminder, the final segment of the show brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they're not open on Mondays. Billy, we can move on, but I'll read you this text if you want. I mean,
you can read it.
All right.
I'm busy. I'm reading one of our buddies' tweets during the game, and he's go ahead.
The fan base deserves to know how bad we actually are as a program. Our team is average at best. We bundled a QB situation beyond belief. Our receivers are softer. Okay, I can't read that.
Time out. Average, but one of only 3 teams with still a chance to play for the SEC title going into the last week of the season. And I want to go on to a real point about this after this. Okay, so there's that. Forget factoring in that this guy just took over the job, and I think they've exceeded. I don't know what the over-under for wins was, but I think it was it 7? I think it was 7.5. And they're going to exceed what people that have nothing to do with A&M thought. They might go way past it. That's on the table. What was that second part?
Our receivers are...
No, before that.
Bundled quarterback situation.
Bungled the quarterback. They didn't bungle Jack crap. See, I'm doing it too. Your guy got hurt. They picked the right guy based on everything anyone that knew anything about football knew about Connor. He came back from an injury, played poorly, and then got hurt again, played great, and then just kind of has lost it. They didn't bungle it. Marcel Reed's progression, to me, has been actually perfect.
Yeah,
he's kind of got his feet wet. He showed a lot, and they had to go back to him. He's a much better quarterback now. We continue on this text because I don't like this.
Bryce Anderson couldn't tackle Olin in the open field.
I don't like you not because of what you're saying. If you want to say that Bryce couldn't tackle Olin in the open field, I will tell you, I agree. Bryce has to get better at making stops in the open field. I've been saying that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been kind of my concern. But he could tackle Olin, and instead of I don't know what's the difference between us saying this guy needs to get a lot better at this, or if they can't get it done, they've got to find a formula that works, yada, yada, versus saying this guy couldn't tackle this guy in the open field, and pick some, not Olin, but some octogenarian. You don't have to do that. If that's what makes you happy and you choose to tune out criticism that doesn't match your level, I got nothing for you, man. Trust me, whatever you say, I can say it times 10. But I've also got, I have, and I know he does, and we have a sense of decency about us that you clearly lack. So if you listen, you can hear the criticisms, and they're not in some hidden code. We're openly talking about things. I'm also not going to go, and I'll be honest with you, part of the mood right now, yesterday and this week, part of it has to do with the opportunity you still have in front of you. It absolutely does. And if you're not that kind of person either, I got nothing for you. If you want to cry and moan all week and think that A&M can't beat Texas and it's just something they can't do, then that's fine. And the odds makers will say that you're right. I think you're a damn fool if you don't think they can win this game. I'm not saying they will. I think over the course, just like I said last week, over the course of 11 games, Texas has been a better football team if you're just watching it than A&M. Has A&M had a slightly tougher path? Yes. A big part of that is the Michigan versus Notre Dame swing. Has A&M had a slightly tougher path? Yes. Both teams had a pretty...
We got to hit a break.
Have had a pretty decent schedule so far. Through that many games, yes. Is the gap that wide? No. And I want to go back to this text because there's more about it I don't like.
Yep. All right. We got to hit a break. We'll be back. It's TexAgs Live. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance
You really
Studio.
doing this?
Yeah, I'm really doing it. It's hour number 3 of the program. It's become my new thing because we have the widescreen look or wide camera look. I can walk in and start the segment here on the program. Are you sure you want me to finish this text?
Yeah, because it's going to lead me into what I'm talking about with this.
There's 2 other points he says. Are vaulted.
He's complaining about the receivers.
In Bryce Anderson. Then from there he goes, our vaulted D-line, and he puts
in a vault. They've locked it away in a vault.
He actually wrote vaunted.
Oh, so you... Way to go, Nuño.
He wrote vaunted.
You gave me a little chance. Go ahead.
Vaunted defensive line. Can't put pressure on the passer.
I think we've talked about that extensively. They did put pressure on the passer against South Carolina, and they missed tackles. So that's still the same problem. We spent a whole... 2-3 days talking about that and the misses. They were getting a lot of pressure on Sellers, both with the blitz and the D-line. I was really disappointed in the defensive front this week and really the last 2 weeks in general with the entire defense. I think we have talked about that plenty. So go ahead. What was?
And the last thing he says.
He talked about the receivers. We've always talked about that, which, by the way, I think that position's actually getting better. I think that's a position that's improved as the season has gone on. And I think even the other night, you had a couple guys that I thought had really strong games, and obviously Noah Thomas and Ja'Day Walker. A week earlier, whenever it was Jabri Barber. I think that position's actually getting better.
And then there's also this last one, says, a dose of realism from the AD mouthpieces would go a long way.
AD and mouthpieces. So you want the AD to what? Come in and you would like the athletic department, maybe you meant the department. So you'd like Trev Alberts. You don't think Mike Elko, I feel like he's as honest, straight shooting a coach as you get up there. So I don't know I don't understand what the athletic department is supposed to do. Are they supposed to put out self-loathing tweets after losses? Post the final score and go, we sucked again, guys. I don't understand, lost by 2, same as 200, doesn't matter, still a lot. Is that what you want? I don't know what the AD is supposed to do. And then if you're calling us mouthpieces again, this is I would put the way we cover this team against anything, anywhere, ever. Okay? So you can say that's not true, and you can we've been doing this 25 plus years around here, and I think it's only getting better. Frankly, if you're going to send in texts like that, I don't give a damn what you think, other than you've given me some good content today. So you can keep listening, but no, I don't care what you think about what we do. It will not change anything we do, whether you listen or not, and you could text in all the time, and that's fine. And you can text in if they lose to Texas. It is not going to shock me if they lose to Texas. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, and I think people that are expecting this A&M team to look anything but what they look like against LSU and Missouri. In other words, come ready to play and let the 12th man carry them there. That's my expectation going in this one. I think it's a toss-up game. So we'll see. We'll talk about that a lot more this week. But my other thing is, angry people like this. I understand. I was so pissed watching that game the other night. When it was 21-0. Even when it was 14-0, just not getting stops and then not getting that 4th down stop and letting him run for 25 and, having a great chance to win that thing in overtime and then getting called for a hold and the drop passes. I mean, I was pissed. As mad as a sports fan could be, but I also, big picture, understand what's going on here. Should they have won that game? Yes. The final score, after being down 21-0, to be able to outscore them by 21 in the final 3 quarters, you should have won that game. On the road, we mentioned a million different plays that could have changed it. All that does is tell you how much you should have won that game. I did not feel that way after South Carolina. I'm like, you wish you could have played that again and made some tackles, but there wasn't we literally were if they had made a sack on the second play of the game, that thing looks if they wouldn't have thrown that pick in the 4th quarter, they could have finished the final 25 yards and cut it from 10 to a 3-point game. A lot of could have. This is like one play 10 different times.
Yep.
Or not go down 21-0. They should have won this game. Elko knows it. The team knows it. We know it. Everyone knows it. How costly is it? We'll know after next Saturday. If they win Saturday, it didn't cost you a shot in the SEC title game, so it wasn't costly. If they win Saturday, it is costly if you lose to Georgia because it probably keeps you out of the playoffs. So it's going to be costly probably either way. But man, in year one, and people it's like you don't want to hear this because anytime something comes off as an excuse, people don't like it. You got to give this coach and his staff and even these players, give them a little bit of grace in your expectation. The guy that everyone's kissing his ass that's coming in here Saturday went 5-7 in year one in the Big 12. The guy in Tuscaloosa that inherited the greatest culture ever at Bama, champion, where they just go there to expect 2-3 championships. 4 is probably what they expect. He's lost 3 games. Lane Kiffin, with the greatest program they've ever been able to purchase, has lost 3 games. You go back to year one, and Josh Heupel's doing a great job there at Tennessee. 7-5, 6-6 in year one. Brent Venables, the storied program of OU, taking over for Lincoln Riley. Playoff berth, 5-7, whatever they were year one, 6-6. I can give you a million examples. It's tough. It's difficult. Brian Kelly, amazing year one in Baton Rouge, right?
Yeah.
Amazing year one. They still lost 3 games. They lost to an unranked A&M team at this exact time of the season. Got their asses kicked, 38-23 here at Kyle Field. So he was 9-3, which last I checked, this guy has a chance to do. Has a chance to do the exact same thing. Go 9-3 and play an SEC title game against Georgia in year one, where he was like a coach of the year contender. What's Brian Kelly doing in year 4? Or is it year 3?
Year 3.
What's he doing in year 3? He's lost more games than Mike Elko and A&M. He lost 2 Mike Elko and A&M. He's had 3 years to build that thing. It's hard, man. It's not easy to do, and the fact that A&M has been very relevant through 11 games, and they are going to be relevant through the entire regular season. They beat 2 top 10 teams at home. I know those are not 2 of the 10 best teams in the country. This is how we do it. If you're going to say A&M lost to an unranked South Carolina, then they beat 2 top 10 teams at home. Pick your side, whatever way you want to talk about that. So either that South Carolina loss is like, hey, they're threatening to be in the playoffs, right, or you lost to an unranked South Carolina that you should have beat. Whatever you want to call it. They beat 2 top 10 teams at home. They're one of their 3, they have 1 bad loss. I would call Auburn is a bad loss. I respect the talent, the atmosphere, the environment. It's a bad loss. Just like Bama has 2 bad losses. Just like, and I still consider Bama losing at Vandy in front of 90% of their own fans a bad loss.
Yep.
Ole Miss has 2 bad losses. Tennessee has a bad, it happens. A&M has a bad loss. They have 2 top 10 wins with a chance for 3. We're going into game 12. They've got college. They started the season with College Game Day. They're ending it with College Game Day. They have been, the 2 of the 3 games they've lost have been field stormings. They have been relevant through this whole season, wire to wire. And by relevant, I mean playing with something on the line and playing with something to win. So it's going to feel different if they lose 3 in a row in the conference. You could go from 5-0 to 5-3. You should feel a lot worse about that than the alternative. Yeah. And it will be like, okay, we didn't get as many answers as we hoped, but it was still a successful year one. It just, period, it's going to be. But you would have more questions about what's it look like next year. Then imagine if you beat Texas and then went on and beat Georgia, then it's one of the best years ever. But even if you 1-1, if you get to Atlanta, man, it is a breakthrough first season with just the sky being the limit, with the portal opening up. And I'm fired up. Like, this game has my full attention now. I'm not even going to say it. If A&M beats Texas, they can fire up, they can fire up Elko's quote again a week from now. They had so much fun with it this week. They can fire it up again. Maybe he did. Maybe he was focused on Texas. But the focus is on Texas. It's too distracting. I can't. It's going to be all I think and talk about all week with friends, people coming in town, whatever media hits I'm doing, podcasts, things like that. It's going to dominate the next few days, with the exception of a quick trip to Houston for some turkey. And you call it dressing or stuffing?
Stuffing.
Me too.
Team stuffing.
Yeah, stuffing. And I like two different kinds.
To me, dressing is what you put on salad.
You could just give stuffing. I could eat stuffing the next 10 days if you let me. Stuffing and pumpkin pie.
I'm not a big stuffing guy.
Of course
I'm not against it. I'm not saying I don't eat it. It's not like when I see it, like, oh, I got to have some stuffing. I see the macaroni and cheese. I see the turkey. Let me have 2 plates of that. That bothered
me. The fact that you don't like stuffing.
I didn't say I didn't like. See,
it's un-American.
Okay.
The Pilgrims would hate you.
Really? You want to really talk about that story?
The Pilgrims couldn't stand people that don't like it. The fact that you're going to sit here and disrespect
I
the
disrespect
Pilgrims.
Pickles. I don't pickles. I hate pickles. Pickles ruin every food they touch.
Who does pickles at Thanksgiving?
I'm just making a point. I hate pickles. I don't hate stuffing.
Did you like
I just don't like, stuffing.
Did you like that little book? Was it Sour Pickles or Sweet Pickles? What was that little children's book in the 80s?
No,
I think it was Sweet Pickles. Look up Sweet Pickles.
The only book I read was Ramona Quimby, age 8. That was it.
Of course you did.
You didn't like that book, Beverly Clearly? She was awesome. Jesus and Ramona? Who didn't watch that?
Ramona Quimby. I'd almost rather watch
the Mockingbird.
I'd rather watch the Aggies lose to the Longhorns than read Ramona Quimby, age 8.
It wasn't my choice. The teacher gave it to me. I read it.
What kind of school were you at?
Hayleaf Schools, baby.
It's like one of those ones that you go right past on the little book report form, when you can order books, when you're like, Ramona Quimby.
It's Quimby.
Hell's gonna
you don't add an L, please. Ramona and I are tight. Never.
Yeah.
Never read that.
Sweet Pickles was legit.
I read The Great Gatsby. Give me that.
Sweet Pickles was legit, and so is that thing with those monsters. Where the wild things are.
Great one there, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting back to this game.
But just for the point, I don't hate stuffing. I just don't get seconds.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You redemption.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, team us.
We're friends again. I just, so that's the whole talk of this week, right? Is this game? Nothing else matters. Metallica reference there.
I wouldn't have known.
And nothing else matters.
Oh, I've got a page you need to follow, by the way.
So
Rage Against the Machine guy. He does these songs. He'll do country songs, rap songs, and makes it his style.
Oh, really?
It's really good.
Zach De La
whatever his name is. Yeah, De La Roche. Yeah, it's really good.
So nothing else matters this week. But what I'm really interested in seeing. I made a little reference to it during the cover story this week. Is Mike Elko? We talked about what he did in the portal last year in a very short amount of time.
Yep.
You look at the defense like Scooby Williams, B.J. Mays with another pick in a big SEC game. They should have. There was a miss right there to not turn that into 7. That was a field goal. One of many times they had a chance inside of Auburn territory and didn't capitalize. But B.J. Mays, Scooby Williams, obviously Nick Scorton, and I really want to see him have a bounce back this week. He and Shamar Stewart need to just wreck shop.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're going up against 2 really good tackles for Texas. They need to do the same thing they did against 2 really good tackles from LSU. I think the Texas ones are a little better. Who else portal-wise? Cyrus Allen, and he ends up getting hurt. We mentioned Jabri Barber. These are all Armaje Reed Adams. These are all really good pickups. Coley, who are the starters? There's Ratcliffe, who I could see gaining 10 or 12, 15 minutes and moving closer to the line of scrimmage next year. I think he could be an even better player. Des Ricks, Will Lee, to do that in a very condensed window as a new coach and not having certain position coaches. Remember, they didn't get Holman Wiggins until after Alabama played in the college football playoff in like almost mid-January. So what they can do in the portal this time, and I think with a lot of money to spend, is just the way you say it in 2024 in college football. But they have a big wallet, and they have a lot to sell with how this season went, and they've had eyes on the portal now for a calendar year, whereas last time it was less than a month.
Right.
I think they're going to kill it in the portal, both ways. Like big name, big time additions that get the fans fired up, but then the people like, Cassius Howell and B.J. Mays and Armaj Reed Adams. That you go, oh, he's from Kansas. By the way, Kansas been playing really good football. That's a ball coach up there, Leipold.
Yeah, he is.
That state's got two really good coaches, him and Kleiman. But point being, this portal and then also the ability to keep guys, I think Aggie fans will be in for a couple of surprises in terms of guys that they think will be moving on to the NFL that'll come back.
Set a break. Got a lot to get into here on TexAgs Live. Right now we're talking Southwood Valley Animal Hospital. They're awesome. They've been in partnership with us for a couple of months now. Dr. Justin Casares, Dr. Lauren Casares. They're really good people, and they do amazing work there. They took over ownership there at Southwood back in 2022. And again, Aggie owned and operated, great place that's been serving the Brazos Valley for over 30 years. Dr. Justin's family are a bunch of Aggies. He was, in fact, the 13th Aggie, 17 graduates in the family. They provide routine veterinary services, wellness visits, sick emergency visits, and surgical care. And they have all the top advanced medical care, affordable prices. And they're elevating medicine right here in the Brazos Valley. If you're a new client, they want to take care of you, right? If you listen to TexAgs, just tell them TexAgs 12. They're going to take off $12 for being a new client. If you are a student, they're going to take care of you because they like taking care of the students. They will hook you up. Call them up, 979-693-9898. That's 979-693-9898. Or go to southwoodvalleyvet.com. Shane Smith, right? Am I right about that?
That is Turnpike Troubadours.
Oh, Turnpike Troubadours. I'm sorry. I should have known that. I actually like that song. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program. And look, we got a busy week on the show, so we're gonna be working on getting some big time guests. Billy, I want to talk about your cover story because it kind of ties into what we've talked about, but there's 2 parts of your cover story that I think are interesting talking points. 2024 being the wildest season of conference play in SEC history, which is a fact, right? Like, I mean, just seeing what we saw this past weekend is enough.
Crazy.
And then tie that in to the missed opportunities that we saw this weekend, because this weekend was filled with missed opportunities. And that kind of, to me, goes hand in hand with the wildest season in SEC play, because you didn't have to be a part of that narrative.
Yeah.
You are a part of it.
Say that again.
You didn't listen.
I was listening, but I wrote it.
But no, I usually know when you're not.
I was listening,
I know what it is. It happens to me every show.
I know you do it on that damn computer.
Yes, I'll be listening, and I'm like, okay, do.
I was listening, but then I was like, I wrote it. I know what he's saying, and then you carried it forward, and now in my head I'm second guessing whether or not I really knew what you were saying.
So I don't know. I was just tying the 2 things together, but I'll try again. 2024.
By the way, Aggie basketball night was a big one. Buzz couldn't come on. Is it tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow and Wednesday?
Yeah, tomorrow and Wednesday.
Buzz, he's probably getting a lift in. You know how he does on the road, which they do these workouts. But man, these are 2 big games coming up. You know, to play Oregon, Creighton, and San Diego State, San Diego State, right? It's not San Diego. Those are real programs that they're about to take on. And man, if you could get out of there at any level at 2-1, it'd be a huge step. It's unfortunate to me. I think this team should be undefeated right now. They should have had that win over UCF. We'd feel
a lot better.
Really good. But they can get one back this weekend.
Yeah.
You know? Like, Creighton's going to be a big ask. But if you got Creighton, you're more to make up for UCF. I think if you get 2-1, if Creighton, shoot, it really doesn't matter however you get 2-1. Because I think if you get 2-1 without Creighton, you're still building, you're kind of, between those 2 and Ohio State, you've more than made up for UCF. Kind of.
I agree.
This is a real basic way of looking at it. I know there's metrics and numbers that'll matter way more later than they do now. But yeah, I mean, if you went 2-1 and got Creighton, whew. So I'd love to see them go out there and just play really good basketball for 3 games. That would because there's still a lot of tough non-conference on this schedule. You look at Wake Forest, you look at Texas Tech. It's not like it gets easy after this. So,
in your cover story, you said,
"Oh,
20." You want to keep with basketball?
Yeah, no.
2024 is the wildest season of conference play in the SEC. Mm-hmm. You also then afterwards started going into all these missed opportunities
by everyone, or by A&M.
Well, by everyone.
Oh, during the game.
Yeah, during the game.
Yeah, all the chances.
And to me, like, yes, it's a wild season in the SEC, but A&M's missed opportunities to me add to the wildest season in SEC play. Because had you won that game, you had that South Carolina blemish, but it just another team that had one conference win, and you were a part of that story as a ranked top 15 team.
Yeah, it was the first time that A&M did get caught up in the madness, in my opinion. Outside of the fact that South Carolina blew you out down the stretch. So that score, I think, was shocking around the SEC. And damn, A&M just beat LSU, and they went in there and got the doors blown off, even though that was a lot more competitive until the final 5 minutes. But South Carolina just beat you up that night. Mm-hmm. They were the better team. They beat you up. But that wasn't, as we look at South Carolina now, even before that, anybody that knew anything knew that South Carolina was going to be a really tough hurdle for A&M out there on the road at night. And they thought that about Auburn too. The difference between South Carolina and Auburn is South Carolina, everyone knew was a real team this year. Auburn is a talented, dangerous team who statistically, they were better statistically offensively, I think, in a lot of areas in A&M. They had the SEC's one of the top 2 running backs in the league. They had a bunch of close losses that was just like they made the fatal mistake turning the ball over. They didn't do it on the one drive when it mattered against A&M, and I kept expecting it. I kept expecting, like, hey, there's 11 guys out there. There's Mike Elko, like something's going to, there's Nick Scorton, there's Shamar Stewart and Turner. Somebody's going to get there. They're going to dial a blitz. He's going to fumble. They're going to get the 4th down stop. There's going to be a tip ball interception. And in 15 plays, you couldn't do it. I mean, that all year on those 15 plays, Auburn makes a catastrophic mistake. And it was really like the only thing that was keeping them from having a much better record. So everyone knew that. That's why the spread was what it was, and it was a road game at night, and it was set up that way. A&M has not been extremely dominant, and they know a big part of the reason why the Aggies were pulling away in the 4th quarter had to do with Le'Veon Moss. You didn't have him. So all of those things were kind of tying in, right, to why that spread was what it was. But at the end of the day, still, that's not South Carolina. That's a South Carolina team that will contend for a playoff. This is an Auburn team that still, even with beating A&M, will likely not qualify for a bowl, although I do think they could give Bama all they can handle.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's do this. Let's hit a break because we'll actually be on time. We'll come back. A lot more to get into from this past weekend and looking ahead. Right now, though, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. It's time to show the power of the Aggie Network. Before Aggies and Longhorns step on the field on November 30th, Texas A&M and the University of Texas are hosting a rivalry fundraising challenge. The challenge is simple. Starting last week, running through 11:59 on the 29th. The university that receives the most donations wins. Make a gift now at tx.ag/rivalrygift to help Texas A&M win this challenge. After you make the gift, spread the word to as many Aggies as you know. Donations for A&M will go to the Association of Former Students to support scholarships, recognize student organizations, financial aid, Aggie traditions, and former student support, and much, much more. Please visit tx.ag/rivalrygive and make a gift to help Texas A&M win the Rivalry Fundraising Challenge. It's the Association of Former Students. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Texter actually had some interesting points to bring up, and Jackson, you brought it up earlier in the show. How many holding calls have our opponents had called on them since Bowling Green second quarter?
You saying how many quarters we haven't gone, you mean?
Yeah, just read the stat.
Yeah, opposing offensive lines have not been called for holding against the Aggies since the second quarter against Bowling Green, which was week 4. That's 30 straight quarters of football plus 4 overtimes where the Aggies haven't drawn a holding call.
I'm going to take whoever that is word for it. That just doesn't even seem possible. That I don't even believe it, and I'm not even questioning. Like it. One person's done the research, I think. One person has not. I'm going to believe that people don't just text in and lie.
It was from Luke Evangelist's article.
We need to double check that.
Luke, you better be right, and I'm going to trust Luke on that. That is insane. I thought it was insane enough that in the last 2 games, Auburn and South Carolina's offensive line had not been called for holding when I watched both games. And I understand you could quote unquote call holding on any play, but I know what should be called holding. I know it's supposed to be called holding. There was one very late on that drive. It might have been on that last drive where there was some edge pressure, and one of the guys coming up the middle got blatantly held and almost spun around. And it's right there in the middle of the line, and that is called 8 times out of 10. And that Auburn offense, to get set back like that, that's how you get the interception. That's how you get the sack. They don't call it, but yet they call holding on A&M, which was a hold on Calhoun, I think it was, to start that overtime period, where it turns a 2nd and 2 into a 2nd and 20. That was a massive play in the game. But I get that it's a hold, but I watched a hold on Auburn's final drive that the guy was just basically taken down and held back and spun around. Otherwise, he gets a sack. So to kind of go back and forth like that is you just can't. And to go 8 quarters, South Carolina kicked A&M's butts. South Carolina also held the ever-living you-know-what out of Nick Scourton in that game. For it to not be called one time in either of those 2 games is just wild. And I don't know, maybe the Aggies need to do a better job of selling it if it's that long, or maybe they're getting themselves locked up more than they should. I'm sure it's a combination of both. But there's no way in hell you could go that far without. I don't know if I buy that.
Our team in the back is rechecking the information. Okay. Yeah, that just seems ridiculous.
I don't think I believe. But 2 games is enough for me to play 8 quarters and however many 4 overtimes against Auburn and South Carolina and not have one. That's plenty enough for me. I'm almost positive I saw holding called against A&M, against LSU's offensive front in that game, but who knows? Maybe I'm crazy.
No, we're double checking into the back. Regardless,
that we can change the subject now. We're taking a lot of time.
Well, what I was going to say, Billy, is that to me, Saturday, there's a lot. You can't point at just one area. If this happens, the result will be this. But I'm going to say if A&M's defensive line and the defense, but the defensive line does not do what I thought they would do for most of this season, then they have to do that for A&M to win this weekend. I don't think you can win this game without putting that pressure that we saw early on.
Well, you got to get to Ewers, and you got to get after him, and you're not out there trying to hurt him like the one poster did that set off the most, sensitive. It's got to be 1% of the Longhorn fan base. I know they're tougher than that. I know Longhorns. It's pitiful. Some of these people that tried to make a thing because one poster out of 250,000 on this site said they want to see A&M hurt Quinn Ewers. Nobody thinks that way. Everybody in football wants to see your defense play physical and get after the quarterback. You'd be lying if you didn't say you wanted to get after the quarterback. You wanted to see guys get knocked out of a football game. Like, as a fan, is that not what you want to see your defense do? Do you not want to see your running back put his head down and run over a DB, knock their best DB out of the game? So, to think like that, minus anything serious, I think that's football. Right. You want your guys to physically punish the other team. Look, Marcel Reed was limping around at the end, as that Auburn game went down. So I think they're both probably going to be banged up. Again, it's SEC football. Texas fans want to see their defensive line and linebackers crush Marcel Reed. Aggies want the same thing. So to be crying because one guy took it too far on Twitter, which no one agrees with that. No one wants to see A&M headhunting out to hurt Quinn or anybody. No one wanted to see them do that to Peyton Thorne or to Sellers. And nobody wants to see that done to Reed. That's silly. Sometimes you guys, and I mean not just Texas, for everybody on social media, you try so hard to get outraged over something that's so, like, go about your damn Sunday, man. Like, it really, like, you took time on your Sunday to worry about what someone you don't even know says about something that has no control over what happens in a football game. Like, people, stop being so freaking soft.
Yep.
Go tell your kid, like, son, your dad did something really stupid today. What'd you do, Dad? Well, I got really upset because Joe Aggie 79 posted that he wanted to see Quinn Ewers get hurt in a football game, and it really bothered me. So I went to social media, and then I clogged up Liucci's mentions for 3 hours arguing about it with other people I don't know who, oh, by the way, agree with me that they didn't want to see that happen either. But, man, that guy sent me, like, these people exist, man. It blows my mind. Like, go play catch with your kid. Go sit down and have dinner with the family. Talk about what, how church was Sunday morning. Talk about football. Talk about how Quinn Ewers' ankle is going to hold up. Talk about that Cowboys comeback. Talk about the vacation. Or do something. Talk about if it's stuffing or dressing. To worry about that, you're sick. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say this. And I feel weird saying it, but I'm going to say it because I freaking love Amari Daniels. All right?
Yeah, I do too.
And I hate that last play happened. And I know that play, we all wish he could have made the play.
Yeah.
But that dude, since he's been on campus, has been just the way he runs with the reckless abandon, the power, the speed, the shiftiness. He had a very nice game outside of that last play.
27 carries for 93 yards. That's a hard, like he didn't have much running room, and he just fought and fought, had the big touchdown at the end to finally put A&M up. He's a passionate player. Look, in his last few games, and I know 27 for 91 doesn't move the needle in yards per attempt, but that was a really good Auburn defense. And A&M, this is the thing. That was a defense I think was number 3 in the SEC in total yards.
Mm-hmm.
A&M put up 31 in regulation. Marcel had some really nice numbers. They moved the ball throughout the game. They killed themselves early when they should have had 10 or 14 points and ended up with none between a pick and a missed field goal. But they moved the ball throughout the game pretty steadily against a really good SEC defense.
I've got the holding numbers here.
Okay.
Bowling Green, 2. First quarter, second quarter. Arkansas, 0. Mizzou, 0.
Okay, so are you going to say, if you're going to say it's right, we don't
South Carolina, 1, declined because of Bryce Anderson tackle for loss on the 2nd and 8 play. So basically, LSU, 0. There was
so
one
that's
that was
wild. It is a wild stat. It is something I would probably ask. He's not going to give you. He's going to give you a non-criticized officiating answer. But I would love to know what Mike Elko thinks about that too. That seems like an.
Is that something that they can send to the SEC?
Yeah, I think you absolutely do. You send it to the league and you go, guys, this is effing ridiculous. Like, how on God's green earth can we play 30 quarters of football in this league? I guess New Mexico State's in there too, but 30 quarters of football without one time.
New Mexico State 0 as well.
Having a holding call.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah, I'd like to see that across the leagues, but I can tell you, all right, Evangelista, if you want, go find me the number of holding calls against A&M during that same stretch.
Oh, crack team in the back. Get to it. Hitting a break here. Priorities matter. God, family, and country is not just what they do at Rollo Insurance. It's the kind of people that they are at the Rollo Insurance Group that make them so special. Free yourself from the fatigue of corporate gamesmanship. Restore your confidence in the value of relationship-centered consultation. Go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs and find your own personal agent today. They've been my agents since I've been in town. They've got offices all over the great state of Texas, about 60 offices. They're beyond Texas as well, but their headquarters right here in College Station on Highway 6. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or again, go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. It's Rollo Insurance. And we are back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studios. The final segment. We go back to our favorite place, the Angry Elephant. News and Social Center, Jackson Oxney. Yaxon, you got some text for us?
Yes, I do. We have a lot of texts coming in. This is your favorite place?
The real one.
Oh,
I mean, I like you here. You do a great job. But like, I hung out with Greg the other day. That's my people over
I still haven't been to the real one. I've heard the menu's funny, like the
it'll make you laugh. Yeah.
Everything.
Where?
The Angry Elephant.
Oh yeah. Great wings.
So we got a text from John Dutton.
Hey John. Great episode. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, they shouldn't have lost this game, and it is extremely frustrating. But fans need to stop living in the past. Jimbo, Sumlin, Fran, and know this year one coach is changing the mindset and is honestly outperforming anything the national media thought A&M was going to be. This is not the same old A&M. Gig 'em.
I think so. And you can go a long way into continuing that feel if you beat Texas this weekend. If you beat Texas this weekend, yes, I think the national narrative is what a great year one for
Look,
Mike Elko.
That loss the other night was same old A&M. I get it. I agree. This season, it's not same old A&M, and they have a chance to really prove that. They have a chance to prove it's rarely before seen A&M if they beat Texas. It's never before seen A&M if they beat Texas because, first of all, I don't know when A&M's beaten 3 top 10 teams at home in a season. I don't know if it's ever happened. Rarely has the schedule probably even provided for that. I know for most of the SEC, the Big 12 or Southwest Conference stretch there weren't 3 opportunities to play 3 top 10 teams. Then in the Big 12, maybe. I remember one year I think they beat 2 in OU and Nebraska, maybe even in back-to-back weeks. But to win, if you won 3 top 10 games at home, never been to the SEC title game, so you still have a chance. And that's the thing. Like, we wrote this team off after they lost to Notre Dame. I didn't. A lot of people did. My optimism was certainly took a hit, but I was also like, guys, it's game 1. And it's like, guys, it's season 1 of a tenure. I already went through and told you, like, it's not easy to even get it here. So, yes, the other night, that was tried and true A&M. Get the hopes up, go out there, a game you should win and lose. The reason, though, it's tried and true A&M is A&M has rarely been on like a scale of terrible to elite. They've rarely been even up on that radar to very good, like to where you say, oh, this is a top tier SEC team. This is a title contender. It's rare in 13 years in this league we've even been able to say that. It's really been twice, maybe at most 3 times. I think it's been twice, though. In the Big 12, they weren't able to say that besides 97, 98. Maybe in 2010, with the way they finished, but they took a couple hits early. Like, it's been rare that you could even say that. So when that's the case, you are going to have games like this. And that's what your talent level says. So it's like you can't flip that switch like that light switch and go on and off overnight. So, yeah, the other night, that's certainly what it felt like because that is what it was like. They went on the road. They lost a game. They needed to win against a team that, yeah, we can talk all about their talent. That still over 10 games like A&M had proven that they were the better football team. Problem is, Elko's got to be able to have time to get the talent to where it's, and I hear people going, this is the most talent he'll have. Because they're like, look at how the recruiting rankings and this. No, I mean, it might be hard to just consistently replicate this D-line talent. That was where they absolutely, maybe not the talent. I think you can go and get that level. It's the depth. But, yeah, I mean, I think Mike Elko can put together a D-line where he's got 3 NFL D linemen and then some NFL depth. He did that the first time around here. And I think they can get that done.
Yep.
But the rest of this team, and you especially take out like the portal guys he added, he didn't walk into a roster where you went, man, it's just littered with NFL guys with the exception of that one position. Literally with the exception of that one position. I would tell you the running back stable when he walked in, I think even he was like, oh, Moss, Owens, and you're talking about Amari, and then he's got E.J. Smith as running back 4. So, by the way, loved what they're starting to do with Bussey. I told you they were going to do that. Told you they were going to do more empty. They were going to start motioning Bussey in. That's what you do to kind of help give Marcel some room to operate, but also get Bussey some reps at running back without having to turn him into a running back.
Jackson, we got time for one more.
Yeah, Walker in Houston, I thought this was an interesting text. He said the reality is that we went from a must-win 3 in a row scenario to a must-win 2 in a row scenario. Had we beat Auburn, TU, and dropped the SEC title, the committee would have left us out of the playoff.
Yeah, I disagree with that, and I would have agreed with it a week ago. That's why I started the show. I would have agreed with that a week ago. I think that's wrong now. I think A&M would have been in the playoff now at 10-3. But they did go into Auburn. When that game was played, like to start Saturday, before Ole Miss lost and before Bama lost, they were in a must-win 3-in-a-row situation to get to the playoff, in my opinion. I think in that scenario, a 10-3 A&M would have been left out. I don't think they would have got in over a 10-2 Texas, which would have been absolutely laughable. It would have been criminal, but I still have my doubts it would have happened because Texas was sitting at 3. I don't think they would have 10-3. A&M would have got in over Indiana, and they would have left them out for a couple of SEC teams, notably Bama and Ole Miss. So now they went in needing to win 3 in a row. As it turns out, thanks to Oklahoma and Florida, thanks to DJ Lagway, and in some ways thanks to Jalen Milroe, they didn't, as it turned out, they did not need to win 3 in a row. They actually only need to win 2 in a row. They only need to beat number 3 Texas and go beat the SEC juggernaut, Kirby Smart-led Georgia in Atlanta. So that's all they have to do to get there, which obviously I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek.
Billy, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dave.
Tomorrow on the program, we've got Justin Lanham, Shireen Williams, Jamie McCoy, Jamie Moore. Oh, wow. Guest after guest. KBTX, Jordan Pugh, C-Mike, Christian Michael going to be on the program. I think Selvin Young will be on the program. Deion McKinnis to talk about Bonfire. We'll see you mañana.